Rani Lakshmibai. Srimant Bajirao Saheb Jr., the last Peshwa of the Maratha dynasty, was spending his last days at the Brahmavarta on the banks of the Ganga, living on the pension given to him by the British. Moropan Tambe was one of his favorite assistants. Srimant Bajirao would love Moropan's little daughter Manu almost like his own daughter. Manu would spend all her time with Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Srimant Bajirao. She would engage in open-air martial games like horse riding, sword fighting, etc. with him. Srimant Gangadhar Rao Nevalkar, the king of Jhansi, had no issues. His wife, the queen, had just passed away. Bajirao Peshwa took personal interest in the matter and got Manu married to Srimant Gangadhar Rao. The daughter of a dependent of the Peshwa came to Jhansi as Rani Lakshmibai, the queen of Jhansi, riding on an elephant and distributing sweets and golden and silver flowers all around. Rani Lakshmibai endeared herself to her subjects by her loving nature and soon became a favorite of her subjects. Rani Lakshmibai would freely participate in the joys and sorrows of her subjects. She developed a liking for martial games. Not content with that, she formed a battalion of female soldiers. In course of time, the Rani gave birth to a bonny boy. A successor was born to the throne. There was joy everywhere. But destiny had decided otherwise. There was a minor accident, but it took the life of the prince. The aged and the ailing Gangadhar Rao broke down completely. This shock took his life in the year 1853. This was a terrible blow to Jhansi and her young queen. But Rani Lakshmibai was not one to be broken down by such calamities. She was a strong lady and would face such calamities with courage. She took the entire administration in her hands. She adopted a virtuous son to continue the dynasty. He was named Damodar Rao. With him by her side, she carried out the affairs of the kingdom. Lord Dalhousie, the British Governor General, was pursuing with great vigour the policies of Lord Wellesley, his predecessor, to expand the rule of the East India Company. He would find out some excuse or the other to annex the various princely states and make them a part of the British rule. He did not accept the adoption of a prince by Rani Lakshmibai and issued a declaration annexing the state of Jhansi. Rani Lakshmibai stubbornly refused to bow to the action of the British. She firmly refused to accept this declaration and the proposal for a pension of Rs 60,000. She returned back to Major Ellis, who had come to take charge of the state, and announced that she would never part with her Jhansi. Meri Jhansi nahi doongi. The result was inevitable, a fight with the mighty forces of the East India Company rule. But the Rani was prepared for that. She would never want to live a life of dependency and insult. A country-wide agitation to disrupt the British rule and to drive the English out of the country was secretly taking root in India. The princely rulers and military commandants who used to meet secretly for this purpose were amazed at the maneuvers and strategies planned by the Queen. All of them accepted her as their leader. Unfortunately, just a month before completion of the preparation for these war efforts and the timing of the unanimously fixed eventual uprising, the actual war broke out on the 10th of May 1857. In the beginning, there was all-round success for the revolutionaries, but lack of communications led to lack of coordination and there was a complete confusion all over. The entire war plan and strategy broke down. The East India Company started to destroy and eliminate all the revolutionaries systematically. Since Jhansi was the main center of this uprising, and since Rani Lakshmibai was its main architect and support, a determined effort was launched by the British to capture Jhansi. Rani Lakshmibai repulsed the first attack with great resistance. Lord Dalhousie was succeeded by Lord Canning. He deputed Sir Hugh Rose to Jhansi to capture Jhansi and to bring Rani Lakshmibai alive to Kolkata. Sir Rose surrounded Jhansi in March 1858 with all his might. Rani defended the fort with great valor and strength. She would don martial armor and with a naked sword in her hand would direct her forces while moving along the parapet of the fort. By fraud and deceit, the English were able to create defections within the fort. They had already captured the town outside the fort. In the face of all these odds and difficulties, Rani defended the fort fiercely for 10 days. Sir Hugh Rose was astonished and at his wits' end. The Queen's artillery was very competent and forceful, but in an unfortunate moment, the faithful and dependable chief of the artillery fell to a bullet from the enemy. The Queen cried to her foster brother, Shrimant Nana Sahib, for help and succor. Unfortunately, just at the time, Nana Sahib was fighting for his life in an attack launched on Kanpur by General Havelock. His faithful commandant and Rani's childhood friend had attacked Kalpi with a view to checkmate the British, and he was stuck up there. Taking advantage of the weakening of Rani's artillery, the enemy advanced with his artillery. The firing from his artillery started landing inside the fort and destroying one building after another. The granary was fully destroyed. A ball of ammunition proved to be the final blow. It landed right on ammunition of the artillery. There was a tremendous explosion. The entire area was blown to pieces and went up in the air. Rani drew her sword out of the sheath. She signaled to her soldiers, raising her naked sword. The first rays of the sun flashed on the sword blade. It was as if God was blessing her in her efforts. She spurred her horse, and even before the sky-rending cries of Har Har Mahadev could die, she took her horse across the opening in the fortress wall. All her soldiers followed her, and she, with her entire battalion of about 300 soldiers, was able to mingle in the crowd outside the fort. They all stubbornly met every English soldier that came their way and destroyed them as if they were thrashing corns of grain. She was able to escape from the seized fort, and she and her soldiers rode fast in the direction of Gwalior. She was able to reach Gwalior, risking her life in the process. But unfortunately, the Scindias not only refused to come to her aid, but even refused her entry into their fort. The disappointed and retreating battalion of her soldiers started their ride in the direction of Kalpi. Escaping from the enemy that was following her, she joined Tatya Tope. On the advice of Rani, Tatya Tope conquered Gwalior on 30th May 1858. The Scindias implored the British for help. Sir Hugh Rose and Robert Napier attacked Gwalior. On the 17th June 1858, the Queen, riding on her horse, gave such a fierce resistance that Sir Rose had to beat a retreat. But on 18th June 1858, when the Queen was in the Morar camp, Robert Napier attacked it suddenly. She took her son Damodar Rao, tied him onto her back, and riding a new, unfamiliar horse, was able to escape from the surrounding English army. On the way, they had to cross a stream called Suvarnarekha. The raw, fresh horse was disturbed at the sight of the stream and could not bring himself to jump across the stream. The enemy that was following her was able to get hold of her. A fierce battle ensued. The Rani was able to kill many soldiers, but her force gave way as the battle continued. One English soldier attacked the Queen and slashed her face. Her right eyeball came out and was hanging. Another soldier attacked her on her chest with his sword. Suddenly, another soldier slashed her head. Even in these adverse conditions, the Queen was able to kill these two soldiers and forced her horse into the stream. Her assistant Ramchandra Rao was able to segregate her from this crowd. With a view to ensuring that the queen's sacred body is not besmeared by the touch of the evil foreigner, he brought her with great difficulty into the hermitage of Baba Gangadas. The Rani left Damodar Das in the care of Baba Gangadas and breathed her last. Ramchandra Rao and Baba Gangadas consigned her body to flames. A brilliant, brave daughter of Agni had joined her mother. Sir Hugh Rose, who had spearheaded the attack on the Rani, wrote, "The bravest and the most courageous among the revolutionaries was no man but a great woman, and she was the Rani Sahib of Jhansi." Rani Lakshmibai gave her life fighting for her country and for her honor. A luminous star in the first Revolutionary War of 1857 had vanished. Even today, her memory draws a tear from every true resident of Bundelkhand.